Good evening. We're following major developments in the escalating tensions between Iran and its regional adversaries. Tonight we're tracking the fallout from Iranian military strikes, their impact on global energy markets, and how this conflict is reshaping the Middle East. Here's what you need to know. Iran's military has targeted Qatar's Laffan gas facility, one of the world's largest liquefied natural gas operations. The strike is expected to cut approximately 17% of Qatar's LNG export capacity, a significant blow to global energy supplies at a time when markets are already volatile. The Ras Laffan complex is critical infrastructure, producing roughly 80 million tons of LNG annually. This attack raises serious concerns about energy security worldwide, particularly for European nations and Asian markets that depend heavily on Qatari gas. The facility's damage assessment is still underway, but even partial disruption could drive up energy prices globally. What happens next depends on how quickly repairs can be made and whether further strikes occur. This move signals Iran's willingness to target critical economic infrastructure, not just military installations. Qatar's prime minister has directly challenged Iran's justifications for its military strikes, calling the attacks unacceptable and unjustified. He specifically rejected Iran's claims that it's targeting only U.S. military bases in the region. His statement is significant because Qatar, while maintaining diplomatic ties across the region, is now publicly breaking with Iran's narrative. Qatar hosts major U.S. military installations and serves as a crucial hub for international diplomacy. The Prime Minister's strong language suggests growing frustration with the escalation and concern about the targeting of civilian infrastructure like the gas facility. His comments also reflect the broader regional anxiety about where this conflict is headed. For Qatar, balancing its role as a mediator while protecting its own interests and infrastructure has become increasingly difficult. Analysts are closely examining Iran's power structure following the deaths of two major figures, Supreme Leader Khamenei and senior official Larijani. Their assassinations have created significant uncertainty about who controls Iran's military and political decisions. Intelligence experts suggest that younger, more hardline elements within Iran's government may be positioning themselves to fill the power vacuum. This leadership instability could have major implications for how the conflict evolves. Without clear succession and established authority, decision-making becomes unpredictable. Some analysts worry this could lead to either more aggressive military action as factions compete for control, or internal paralysis that prevents coordinated strategy. The coming weeks will be critical in determining whether Iran's government stabilizes under new leadership or descends into internal power struggles that further destabilize the region. Israel's Energy Minister Eli Cohen says that despite an Iranian missile striking the Haifa oil refinery, damage has been minimal. The refinery, located in Israel's northern coastal city, was hit during Iran's broader missile campaign, but Cohen reports that operations remain largely intact. This assessment contrasts with initial reports of the strike's severity. The Haifa refinery is one of Israel's two major oil processing facilities, so even limited damage could have economic consequences. However, if Cohen's damage assessment is accurate, it suggests either that Iran's targeting was less precise than intended, or that Israeli air defenses successfully mitigated the impact. The refinery's continued operation is important for Israel's energy independence. Analysts will be watching whether Iran attempts follow-up strikes, or whether this phase of the military exchange is concluding. During a meeting with Japanese officials, President Trump referenced Pearl Harbor while discussing Japan's support for U.S. military efforts. Trump praised Japan for stepping up to the plate, but didn't elaborate on what specific support he was requesting or what Japan has already committed. The Pearl Harbor reference carries historical weight. It's the site of Japan's 1941 attack on the U.S. that brought America into World War II. Trump's invocation of that history appears designed to appeal to shared security interests and allied solidarity. Japan has significant economic interests in the Middle East and relies heavily on regional stability for energy supplies. The vague nature of Trump's comments leaves questions about what concrete military or financial support the U.S. is seeking from Tokyo. Japan's response to these requests will signal how broadly this regional conflict is pulling in international players. Despite the military strikes and regional tensions, Iranians are out shopping for essentials to celebrate Nowruz, the Persian New Year. Markets across Iran are bustling with people buying traditional foods, flowers, and items for the holiday festivities. Nowruz is one of the most important celebrations in Persian culture, marking the spring equinox and symbolizing renewal and new beginnings. The fact that ordinary life continues amid the conflict shows the resilience of Iranian society, but it also reflects a certain fatalism. People are adapting to conflict as a new normal. Families are preparing for the holiday despite uncertainty about what comes next militarily. This snapshot of daily life reminds us that behind the headlines about missiles and military strategy are millions of civilians trying to maintain their traditions and routines. It's a powerful reminder that wars affect real people navigating real lives. An Iranian missile has struck an oil refinery in Haifa, Israel's major northern port city. The strike represents a direct attack on Israeli economic infrastructure and energy production capacity. Haifa's refinery is strategically important to Israel's economy and energy security. The strike is part of Iran's broader missile campaign targeting Israeli and American interests in the region. Initial reports indicated significant impact, though Israeli officials have since downplayed the damage. The attack demonstrates Iran's capability to strike deep into Israeli territory and its willingness to target civilian economic infrastructure. This escalation raises the stakes considerably and increases the risk of further retaliation. The international community is watching closely to see how Israel responds and whether this marks a new phase in the conflict or a conclusion to this round of exchanges. We've covered a lot of ground tonight, from the targeting of critical energy infrastructure to questions about Iran's leadership and the widening international dimensions of this conflict. The stakes are high, the situation remains fluid, and we'll continue bringing you the latest developments as this story unfolds. Thank you for joining us.